Respected faculty members, list professionals, students, and friends. Very good morning. It's pleasure and honor to deliver a lecture on basic DNA of librarianship. Thank you for taking time out and being here today. I would like to record my sincere thanks to Dr. S.L. Patil, the program director, and his team. I tried to cover the following during my presentation, but not in any order. Most probably, I'll be covering the 5 laws of library science, basic principles of librarianship, core values of librarianship, 21st century librarianship, the competency that we need for the information professional, and core competencies for librarianship. Also, I'll try to give some overview of the importance of digital migrants and digital natives. During my presentation, whatever that I make, the sources I have taken or I used are from American Library Association and Special Library Association. Right. Now, when we talk about basic DNA of librarianship, right? A DNA, every one of us know it's a complex molecule that contains all the information necessary to build and maintain an organism. It's a common definition applicable for any living things. A librarianship is another organism which contains similar kind of molecule, complex molecule, when the human being originated. Let us understand the global perspective, the historical perspective of librarianship. It's a profession that existed for centuries, beginning in ancient times when written records and images documenting human existence were carved in stones, either in the caves, temples, in some places. The unique role of librarian is endurance and the constant striving to meet the extraordinary information needs of growing and changing multicultural world and evolving digital environment. Right, libraries most likely appeared sometime afterward as groups within these societies felt the need to organize and make accessible growing accumulation of textual material. This is the ancient history. The ancient Sumerians used cuneiform script on clay tablets as early as 3600 BCE. I think we all know it's before the Common Era. And in centuries after 3000 BCE, organized them for use in temples and palaces. So the way actually the information has been recorded, stored, transmitted to the next generation, it is not just started, it started long back. Actually, we have the DNA from the origin. Maybe it started before the Sumerian. That is why, as a librarian, we have see the society in a different angle. For example, we say the society as oral society. Start with oral society, where man started communicating through sign languages. Orally, he communicates to the other person, his experience, his knowledge. And he started documenting his experience in clays, tablets, palm leaf, metals, and other ways. All those things actually help the next generation to understand how the previous man experienced and what trouble he has got. So that actually helps the future generation to understand, come out of those issues. So that is why we call it as a oral society. After Gutenberg invented the printing machine, the oral society becoming more and more effective reading society. People start reading because they can able to get the print material very easily. Therefore, they start actually reading material and access knowledge, disseminate it, store it, reproduce it, and keep it for the next generation. So the society moved from oral to printing, and then what is happening, we all know, it becoming the viewing society. The printing material converted into different formats, the digital format. Now we started actually viewing the document, viewing the content, viewing the knowledge, viewing the information, rather than reading. Now, if you ask me what is happening today, it becoming the touch and feel society. So in simple terms, the oral society becoming a reading society, then reading society becoming viewing society. Now we are a touch and feel society. We start actually touch and feel the digital content which is available in different formats. Right, why it is happening? Mainly because the technology. We all know that the technology which really makes a lot of impact every sphere of our life. It not only make impact or influencing other domains, it almost influencing, impacting, creating issues all the domain, including libraries. And that is one of the reasons people began the libraries getting less important than in the past, because most of us believe that the internet is the world library. Similarly, books and other printed information, maybe it's a newspaper or books, journal article, anything, whether it's a printed in the primary format, secondary, tertiary, they are all now often considered a less valuable and less important when compared with the electronic information. But still, libraries and librarians are the most important components of the information age, and they have dealt successfully the new digital advances. That is why we are still relevant today. Most of us thinking that how we are fit into the system. Maybe we have the ability to locate the information efficiently when compared with anybody else. And secondly, we have skill to evaluate the information for a specific purpose or a need. And we have the ability to organize information to address problems or issues. And we know how to apply the information skillfully to solve many problems where people really need the solution. And we know how to use information to communicate effectively. Using information reasonably to ensure the productivity of the workplace. Particularly when we talk about the research institutions, we actually help those institutions providing information on time. Right, today, it's all around knowledge economy. When we talk about knowledge economy, the data are playing a major role. That is why we give a lot of importance to the big data, the industry 4.0 era. Data, information, and knowledge. These are the components, these are the factors, these are the important elements are very critical for functioning the modern organization and today's society. And who is actually handling all those three? Predominantly the library professionals actually dealing the data, information, and knowledge, which is essential for the society and its enhancement. And we not only just handling those three elements, but also effectively we manage and use those elements to help our own organization where we are belonging, or individual who is really looking for their enhancement and then growth. The modern librarianship advocates are the foundation of the modern librarianship rests on an essential set of core values which define, inform, and guide all professional practice. These values reflect the history and ongoing development of the profession and how advanced, expanded, and defined. It is a service-oriented profession every one of us knows, which focuses on managing information resources to meet diverse need of the user community. What is our aim? Particularly its role in transmission of knowledge cannot be achieved without user occupying a huge portion in the process of information services. So for us, the core important element, nucleus, is the user community. Before I just move on to the next slide, I just want to understand the current scenario. Are we actually relevant to today's context? If we are relevant, how do we showcase ourselves are unique and how we are relevant to the society, why we are indispensable for the society or the user community? Right. Industry 4.0, every one of us knows Industry 4.0. I'm slightly away from my topic, but it's essential for us to understand the ground reality. When we talk about Industry 4.0, there are certain things we have to take into consideration. One, for example, the jargon which we used, Industry 4.0, is artificial intelligence, big data, Internet of Things. We talk about too many jargons. Now, for example, we are going to work with the robots, not the human beings, mostly our partners, predominantly the robots or the machines, because machine going to play a major role in providing information in a short span of time, evaluating the quality information and giving to the right people. So most probably we will be working with the robots or machines. So far we have been providing information, data to the human beings, whether they are digital natives or digital migrants, but we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. We may try to provide, or we may compel to provide information to robots also to function their activities. So the nature of activities, what we do, may change tomorrow. The way in which Industry 4.0 is progressing, when we move to 5.0, things may get changed. Our role also going to be changed. So we should be prepared for that. Right, when we talk about the librarianship, 30, 40 years back, our focus is more and more on collection development. If a library have good collection, it is one of the best library people used to go because they are not able to get the content anywhere except that particular library, nearby place. Therefore, collection predominantly played a major role. But the moment internet actually penetrated in our daily life, everything available on the net. That's an assumption. But people think that everything's available on the net. We never understand, as a common user, may not understand the implication of the copyright, the authenticity, the quality. But being a librarian, we know it is in our DNA to understand the quality, authenticity, and then these copyright issues. So what we need to do is our focus need to be completely changed from the collection to user-centric. Therefore, many libraries start providing or focusing more and more on user activities, what the user need, because the behavior of the user also getting changed. People can access information free of cost. The quality information, they can able to access authentic information, they can able to retrieve from the open access sources. So it is not that everything they have to pay for it. Previously, user has to pay for the information. Now users are not actually paying, they are getting everything free of cost. Maybe the information producer, an author, an organization, government actually paying for it, and users getting freely. This is the concept or model which operating today. That is one of the reasons why people not bothered. They feel that printed materials have less importance, or libraries may not be essential for their activities. They can able to access, they can able to obtain the data or the information for the daily use or the business purpose, where they are sitting through the mobile or through other gadgets, they can able to access, use it. That's a perception outside user community have. What we need to do is we have to understand the user behavior, particularly when we have two set of user community. We have a user community, one set called digital migrants. Other set we may call it as digital natives. Who are all digital migrants? How they access information? What is their interest? How they actually view the library when compared with the digital natives? So we need to understand the line between these two user behavior, needs, and expectations. Then we talk about digital natives, people who born with internet facility, digital gadgets, electronic gadgets. They think that they can access information free of cost wherever they are. By walking, they think that they can able to access the information that they can want through the mobile or other gadgets. On the other hand, people who born before the internet, they are more familiar with print material. They are more comfortable to use print material, whether it's a book, journal article, newspaper, whatever it is. They are more interested in reading the material in the print format. They are more interested in writing those things. But on the other hand, the digital natives, they are more interested to view the content, not ready to read in depth, because reading has its own meaning. Because reading has a lot of values, importance, it gives a lot of insights. The moment you start to read, you try to understand the concept. When you try to understand the concept, on the first reading, you cannot understand wholly, you will not get it. Your dimension will be different. When you read once again, because you need the clarity, so people start reading again and again, they will get some kind of dimension or new knowledge, or new dimension of the knowledge. They seek clarity. Therefore, they refer other sources. So one source to other source, or they will go to somebody else to get the clarity. So the reading really helping them to get clarity, a confidence, what actually they read, understand. On the other hand, when we start viewing, the viewing will actually allow us to browse the information, and suddenly it actually helps us to divert somewhere else. So our attention has been diverted somewhere else, because there are a lot of distraction when you start actually using the digital content through particularly in internet media. The digital natives are more interested viewing, and they are not interested writing, rather they are interested typing, and everything they want to share instantly. they need to understand, but they don't want to understand completely, thoroughly, confidently. But they think that they understood the concept. Therefore, they think they can actually able to share instantly, disseminate, or mix it and send it to other people. So we have two different set of people, people who really understand the value of the reading, people who know, thinking that they know the value of, or they know what is actually reading. Well, we try to help these two people. Now the complex is people who are in the digital migrants, when they're accessing the printed material 30, 40 years back, the quality is there, authenticity is there in the print material, because there was a controlling mechanism when the printing happened. Somebody has to review and then it has to be published, so that the most of the people getting a quality, authentic information. There was an auditing, but unfortunately what is happening today, there is no auditing of the information. Whatever the information available, one, it's overloaded, we all know, so we don't have time to go through all the information which we need. Second, the same information has been disseminated through different media, that is duplicate of information. And dangerous thing is fake information started flowing or disseminated or shared without understanding the impact. So these are the problems that actually the digital natives encounter. There, I think librarians going to play a major role, because we are the specialists. It is there in our DNA how to evaluate, how to identify, how to provide the authentic and quality resources to the user community for their enhancement. Now we have set of problems, whether it's a physical library or virtual library. Most of the libraries today functioning as the hybrid model. They have physical as well as virtual. But in both the places, we find it difficult to attract the user community. The footfalls is not up to the mark when compared with 30, 40 years back in the library, particularly in the academic libraries. If it is the college library, university libraries, they have the huge infrastructure, extremely good collection, but unfortunately the user community is not exploiting that. So there is a need that we need to find out what exactly they need, why they are not coming to the library and accessing or using the resources which have the huge value for the life or the studies or the research or therefore the teaching. Maybe, as I told you, the behavior of the user community, particularly the digital natives, is completely different. They want place, a unique place where they want to live, they want to work, they want to have the fun, the place where they are, they want to be converted into anything. But traditionally the libraries can provide only the learning spaces. That is where we have problem of getting this user community inside. The footfalls has come down. So we need to understand, I think most of the libraries immediately respond to the expectation of the user community. Now we started actually providing different spaces. If students really want to engage one-to-one, one-to-many, one-to-few, we provide space for the engagement. Because one of our important purposes, we have to engage so that people can collaborate. The life skills will be enhanced. That's an important aspect. The learning happening anywhere, not necessarily in the classroom or face-to-face. It can happen in the library. So we provide different spaces. If a person really needs intensive reading without any disturbances, we provide exclusive space called a silent space, a silent zone where people can come and then study without any disturbances. There are people, they want to understand, collaborate with others to get clarity on the subject, what they studied, what they understood with his peer group or the faculty. So we provide semi-silent zones where people can come and interact with each others or many. And importantly, we also provide, if somebody really want to take relax, we provide relaxation zone where people can go and then take the break of the studies. They need not go out. Even people want to have a cup of coffee, like some bites, they can able to do that. The library start providing the facility called a cafeteria. If really students want to actually play a small things, the gamification, for instance, the library start actually providing spaces. So library now start accommodating, understanding the needs of the user community. Therefore, the student community is starting coming to the library once again. How do we do that? How we are able to do that? We can able to attract, whether it's a physical space or virtual space. We provide lot of virtual space. People could collaborate, engage themselves, share their ideas, where the library can actually facilitate all those things. How do we actually able to understand very quickly when compared with anybody else? Because the DNA in us actually helping us to understand very quickly the user needs. Therefore, we are able to respond to the needs, and which actually help us to attract and increase the footfalls in the library, whether it's a physical space or the virtual space. And the librarians are the one who use the technology effectively. The moment technology has been introduced, new tool has been introduced, we are the one actually the first to use it and helping the user community. This is the technology which you can use it for your teaching, research, or learning purpose. How do we achieve that? Through our effective proactive information services. So these are all actually the one which we are able to provide. That is one of the reasons why the librarians are unique and relevant forever, whether it is from the Sumerian civilization or today's day. We are relevant forever. Like when we talk about libraries, we are not just only concerned about the academic community. Maybe the students coming for the learning purpose, teachers coming for the teaching, they access information for the teaching to provide extremely good content to the student, to get better clarity, and the set of people who comes for the research. They also use the library facility. Maybe these three set of people use the academic community effectively when compared with others like administrators. But the libraries are common to every one of us born in the earth. For example, people who lives in the platform, the beggars who need access information, who want to get some kind of recreation. Do we have the space? People who actually committed some kind of crime, they have been put on the prison. They also they are the one actually desperately need the books, or we think about it. We have the public libraries, but still prisoner cannot access the public library. Beggars may not be allowed many times in the public libraries. So what we have done is, as the library professional, we took all the initiative, make the government to understand the importance of reaching the end user in different format. Therefore, we provide libraries in the street. For example, there are street libraries. It is not necessarily people can go, and then actually even a beggar who want to read a book, he can go there and then read it. There are kids actually studying. They are living in the platforms. They can actually go and access. They have the extremely good potential. Intelligent students are there, but they are living in the platform. They may not have the facility to access good quality content, but the street library really helps. Similarly, people who committed crime due to circumstances, they want to come out of it. They want to learn. They want to mold themselves. Therefore, I think we are going to the society, not the society coming to us. Initially, we expect the user community to come to the library. Now we actually going to the community. How it is possible? It's mainly because of the DNA with us. Now, when we talk about the basic DNA of librarianship, we cannot ignore the 5 laws of library science, conceived a father of library science. Right. Though it is actually conceived 1924, it is relevant forever. Today, yesterday, and tomorrow, it is going to be relevant forever. That is why this chart very clearly says how this transforming or changing its color at different timings. All the 5 laws of library science are applicable at any given time, whether it's the past, present, future, we can apply. So the fundamental DNA for us is the 5 laws of library science. And what's the implication it gives? When we talk about the first law, it is talking about the open access. Because it's very simple. Today, we are in the digital divide. There are one set of people can get all the facilities, one single click sign on, they can able to get everything what they need because they have all the facilities. On the other hand, there are people who lives in Africa. Some of the Northeast states, they are struggling to get the information. There is a digital divide. But they also need to get the information, what they need or their interest. Therefore, the open access is going to really help us to satisfy the people. And today, if you want to really understand the user behavior, I think most probably we have to understand and provide the space, the facility, the technology, the tools. It's an important role. Right, when we talk about the 5 laws, where it actually providing an impact or implication, one, accessing the resources. Secondly, it also helps us to understand the confidentiality. Because today we are actually playing with the data, unless there is a privacy and confidentiality. It is very difficult. People trust us. Another important thing is we have to treat everybody on par. There are diverse kind of people, multicultural people. Not necessarily they're coming to the physical library, they are coming virtually. So how do we actually provide, how do we satisfy those people? These are all the important things that we need to understand, we have to provide. Though it is in the DNA, we need to change time to time according to the needs. For example, learning, becoming lifelong learning. Now, the learning becoming lifelong learning in the sense, it is not necessarily just learning new things. It is also mean you have to unlearn the things which you have learned. You have to relearn. There are 3 important elements we have to understand, we have to advocate our user community. When we talk about the learning, one, the learning becoming lifelong, which actually says learn, relearn and unlearn. That's an important. You might be wondering why I have to talk about this again and again. The simple reason is learning, most of us thinking that in a particular period of time for a particular purpose. For example, as a student, I'll start my learning process at the age of 3, thinking that it will be over at the age of 21 when I finish my undergraduate or postgraduate or the research program. Thinking that that is my learning curve. But it is not true. It is not going to happen. It is not going to help. The pattern is changed. If that is the case, most of us thinking that after my learning in the college, I have to get an employment. Then I'll focus more and more on my employment opportunity than the learning purposes. Now, what is happening? Learning becoming the lifelong learning. Why? Because things are getting changed. The jobs are fluid in nature, fluid in nature. For example, what I study today, when I go out of the college, may not be relevant for my future. For instance, I'm the student of engineering, aeronautical engineering, or marine engineering, or maybe student of nurse. Today, I'm actually doing 4-year nursing program. When I go out of this school, college, thinking that I'll get the job in the hospitals where I can use my skills. But what is happening, Industry 4.0, most of the jobs has been taken by the robot. For example, treating patient, cleaning the wounds, providing medicines, assisting the doctors. There is no need that actually only the nurses can do. A robot can able to assist the doctor to perform the surgery. The robot can actually clean the wound. It can provide the medicine on time to the patient. So if that is the case, if Industry 4.0 going to give importance to the robots, then what happened, the study which I have, the skill I acquired during my learning process. So what is going to happening? The job, the skill which I acquired, it's fluid in nature. So I have to look for something else. So I should be ready for the lifelong learning. The person who works in the industry, maybe in automated industry, tomorrow a new technology will come. The automation may not be relevant. Something else will come. So what do I do? For example, aeronautical engineer or the driver, the driving is the skill. Now the most of the cars are coming driverless car. They are operating without diesel. We use petroleum products for all these products. But to minimize the carbon emission, government decided to bring new technology. For example, solar energy, wind energy. When we start using wind energy, solar energy, which is freely available without emitting any carbon, government thinks that we can be using those things. Then what happened to people who studied 4-year, 5-year mechanical engineering? They are more comfortable with using or manufacturing those machines or those engines mainly used for diesel and petrol. Now what happened to those jobs? It may not be relevant because something else can be done. So what we need to do is the learning becoming lifelong learning. So what I need to do is I have to learn simultaneously many things. I have to understand. So that is where the library going to play. Librarians going to play a major role in the lifelong learning of the user community. We also try to help how they can actually unlearn, also the relearn. So this is where we are going to play a major role. And very importantly, the preservation, because we are not giving importance to the history. Preserving is very, very important. Unless you preserve, unless you keep it for the next generation may not know how things has been moved from the past. So it's important. Who has to do that? I think it is the DNA of the librarian, which actually helps to preserve, keep it for the next generation. And very importantly, we are people who actually treat the others respect, fairness, and good faith, advocate conditions of an employment that safeguard the rights and welfare of all of our employee institutions. So we actually having the ability to locate the information efficiently when compared with anybody else. Our DNA really helping us to evaluate the specific information needed for a particular group of people. The DNA which with us really helping us to address many problems and issues of the society. Now today, what is happening? The libraries and librarians becoming agent, or learning-oriented information centers. And we must ensure that the society understand the value and contribution of libraries and librarians, particularly in the area of organizing, preserving, providing access to information, because the data, information, knowledge going to play a major role for the society. And very importantly, we have to understand it's more and more competitive. It is no more librarians' work handling data, information, sources, and knowledge. It is no more librarians' work, because the computer scientists, they are more interested. They are more comfortable to using the tools and techniques to analyzing the data. That is why most of the data and data scientists are not from the librarianship. They are all from the computer scientists. So it's very competitive. So we have to understand the impact, and then we have to take our primary role of using, understanding, preserving, and then providing access or disseminating those information data in different format, because it's becoming a very valuable product or commodity, which is going to play a major role, which we are going to play a major role keeping those things. Right, when we talk about the core competencies of a librarianship, what are there? Maybe the foundations of our own profession. Second, we are roaming around. We are mostly handling the sources, maybe primary, secondary, tertiary. in any format, not necessarily a print. It may be in any format, digital format or structured, unstructured, whatever the way you say. Because when we talk about the big data, people say that structured, unstructured, huge data. So there are sources which actually we are the one actually handling these things. So we should have enough competencies on that. It should not go to somebody else. For example, computer scientists cannot claim that it is their job. It is our job basically, because we are the skillful people, organize, record information and knowledge, because we have to use the technology and then skill to disseminate, to retrieve, to store those information who need. And very importantly, we should possess, we have already, it is there in the DNA, but still it's important that we have to understand the user need to provide the services using technology. Today, we are more and more on focusing on one area called research. Most of the libraries actually supporting the research activities of the research community, because the research is the one which is really going to help to bring more innovations, inventions that actually helps the pride of the institutions, pride of the nation. Therefore, user community, the research community need the support of librarians. It is there in our DNA. As I told you, the important competencies that we need or we have to enhance is how we can provide support to the lifelong learning of the individuals, of the society. How we can actually support if they really want to relearn or unlearn things. And being a librarian or information professional, we are in a position to manage, administer things at any given time. We never should be lack of those things. And primarily, we should have the basic knowledge of the sources, which is there, which is going to come in near future. Many of us doesn't understand the compliances. The very important thing is it should be in our DNA, the knowledge, the policies. Because there are certain policies which we need to adhere. If you're working in the government institution, there are certain policies, rules, regulations which we have to follow. If you are in other institutions, there are certain things we have to formulate, we have to follow. There are certain procedures which you cannot violate, which you cannot deviate. We have to understand what are the policies, what are the compliances, what are the procedures that I need to follow while actually acquiring, processing, disseminating, preserving the content in different format to the different user group. And very importantly, the moment the open access comes, things are getting freely on the net. The copyright issue has come. Many of us doesn't understand the license agreement, because today when we access buy the content, either we are accessing, subscribing or purchasing, because the models are completely different. If it is a print, we only buy the material. But today, the digital content can be subscribed a particular period, not necessarily forever. I can borrow a book for 2 days. I can access the journal article 1 month. I can access a particular data was 1 year. So it is only for the subscription. I'm not purchasing, I'm not buying forever. I want to actually purchase. I want to get e-books forever for my library. Then I'll go with the perpetual access. Then when you are actually entering this acquisition model, there are different type of license agreement, which we need to understand. When you want to disseminate these content to others, to our user community, we have to understand the copyright implications. These are all the important core competencies that we need, because many of us are more comfortable using, acquiring the data, acquiring the content, acquiring the sources, and providing effective services through the technology and tools. But unfortunately, what is happening, we are not giving much importance to the license agreement, copyright issues, because there are many things, because copyright violation going to lead, because it's punishable by court of law. So we need to take very seriously. Therefore, we have to follow the policies, procedure, and ethical issues. How it is possible? The basic important one element, one factor going to influence, showcase ourselves is the communication. Unless you have the effective communication, both oral as well as written, it's an important. It is important for anybody, but it's most important for a librarianship, because we are the one actually communicate different set of people at different time intervals. And being a facilitator, we need to have the skill of teaching. I want to tell you the core competencies as a librarian or information professional we need. One, the information and knowledge services. The reason is, being an information professional, we have to meet the information and knowledge need of our own organization where we are belonging, where we are working, and the community by providing a diverse array of services based on understanding the human information behavior. The very important thing is, the moment I start telling that there are different set of people, because we need to understand their information behavior and a holistic assessment of the community and the organization where we are serving. For example, we support the effective use of complex mix of data, information, and knowledge in any format. It may be published, it may be unpublished. It may be in physical format, it may be digital format. It may be structured or unstructured, because today we are talking about too much on unstructured data. Therefore, it's an essential for us. This competency is very, very essential. We enable knowledge sharing through interpersonal and contact and relationship, because relationship building more and more important today. The networking becoming serious. So we need to address the aspect of human engagement with information and knowledge. We provide different spaces in the library to have an engagement. People can collaborate each other. How do we do that? We can able to do that identification of the information needs, discovery and retrieval, analysis and synthesis, sharing, management, organizing and preservation of our own activities. Right, how do we use the technology? Information professional use information and communication technologies effectively to meet the information needs of our own community, our own organization. We actually develop and implement, also operate a different information system that are very importantly cost effective, because today there are crunch in the funding. So what we do is, we develop our own system, implement it, operate the information system that is more cost effective and employ state-of-the-art technologies. We just like that, not doing that, we actually employ the technologies which is really on the top class, which may be including engaging multiple stakeholders to recommend the information architecture needed for the whole organization or the institution. We are not actually doing on our own. What we do is, we engage the whole stakeholders, maybe academic community, or maybe the administrator of the institutions. We engage, we collaborate, we actually take input from all those people before we do that. Another important thing that we need or we have is selecting and implementing the system, information system. And we are the pioneer to identifying, selecting the management, information management tools. It may be content management, CMS system, or social media platform, and information retrieval and analysis tool. For example, Manly, or any other reference tool, a manual, or some other software, or any system. You want to develop a website, you want to automate your library, you want to bring some kind of discovery in your system. So that actually we do that, or we should possess those capabilities. That's an important for us. And very importantly, identifying the systems and tools that actually help a specific community. We are talking about in general, there are specific communities, specific group of people need a specific information. It can be actually provided a different set of system, different set of tools. So what we need to do is, we should not ignore those people. We should not take only the larger community or larger people. We also need to take care of the specific community, because they need, for example, there are community, visually impaired people, physically challenged people, they need certain information. Their requirement is completely different from normal people. the researcher who comes with visually challenged or physically challenged. If they comes, how do we provide the information? So they need actually a different kind of set of tools. So we should be in a position to provide those things that actually help the community and make them to understand, make them to make happy. Now, very important, how do we do that? How do we achieve that? The designing of interfaces. That actually helps and intuitive user experience. And more importantly, we start actually coding appropriate scripting and other tools. And we start actually creating, publishing, packing information is unusable format. There are certain information user cannot actually use it. The information is stored in unusable format. For example, there are a lot of information available in Twitter. It's unstructured. There are certain tools can be captured and then put it in a different format. That what we need to do is we take those information. There are a lot of free information, quality information available in the government websites. For example, if you go to government website, gov.data.in, you get all data, government data, authentic source in a raw format. If I really want to use it for my student or research purpose, then what I need to do is I need to pack it properly in a usable format. That is where our marketing skill really going to help. That is where we are actually providing the user community extraordinary services. They will recognize that I'll go to the library, they can able to provide what I need. They are not specialists to pack those information in the proper format, the way they want to access, the student want access, the user community want access. But we have the ability to pack it and make it very usable format because the information is available. For example, the mix of information available different sources. One may be audio, one may be video, one may be textual, one may be in the social media. But we take all those relevant information, make it as a kind of pack and give it to the user community. They're very happy, they're thrilled actually. Now, the important thing is we should understand the sources. As an information professional, we need to maintain a deep knowledge of the content, resources available to meet the user community to whom we are serving. The knowledge, our knowledge really extends to all type of sources and media because we are aware of different media, different sources, and we systematically evaluate, or we should systematically evaluate, because just like that you can't take what is available on the net, what is available on the media. We have the skill to evaluate systematically, and we have to understand the potential value of the resources which we are evaluating and prioritize those things to acquire based on our own judgment. Then we can give it to those information to the society or the community. So these are all the important core competencies that we must possess, and this will actually help our identity, our relevance in the society, so that people can actually respect us, and then we can showcase that we are also relevant. We can able to really contribute immensely to the society enhancement, the people and knowledge enhancement and other things. With this, I would like to conclude my session. Also, once again, I would like to thank all of you for your patient listening. And once again, I want to record my sincere thanks to Dr. Patil, the program director, and his team. Thank you very much.